Well, hello and good day, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you are as you listen to my voice. I am Alvin Day, and I am delighted to welcome you to this edition of our live stream. I'm looking forward to our conversation today because I am continuing to speak about something that I know to be of interest to virtually everyone. And I thought about it, not everybody cares about money to the same degree, about earning more, about financial freedom. But just about everybody cares about money. And for those who would say that they don't really care about money, I would challenge that, even the humblest of people, because money allows us to pay our bills, to gain the comforts of life that are common to all of us, to have shelter, to have clothing. So I would even challenge those who say money is not that important to say it is. Now, the excessive demand for money or need for money or greed, that certainly is dysfunctional, but everything in excess tends to be so anyway. And so it's with that I make the assumption that this subject is of, or ought to be of interest to virtually everyone, because even the people want more, and so many people are living below the level of what they think they need. However, money is largely misunderstood. Has been misunderstood by me, and I'm learning quite a bit that I wish I had known when I was under 29, now that I'm a little bit over 29. You see, what I've come to realize is that money is alive. It has breath, it has personality, it has abode, it stays in one place and it leaves and goes to other places. But perhaps I'd better change that from saying money to value, because money, of course, is nothing but a representation of value, and it comes in different currencies in different cultures, right? So here's where I'm headed with this. If money, or really the base entity of value, the ability for you to acquire value and to impart value, is of importance to you, it is critical to note that this money with its personality will stay with you or leave you depending on you. Our theme so far has been, if you want to earn more, you must achieve more, because the places from which you want to earn, the persons or the entities from which you want to earn, operate in a general meritocracy. You are given based upon how much you give. Your contribution to society determines how much society gives back to you, or to a job determines how much a job gives back to you. But you cannot give more sustainably. You cannot achieve more until you become more, because your most abiding value is who you are, not just what you know. Certainly what you know is a part of the formula, but who you are is what speaks well for you in an interview for a job, in a business transaction, in your relationships. So, our sort of general theme is, if you want to earn more, you must become more. If you want to earn more money, you have to get up every day and ask yourself, how can I improve myself? How can I learn more skills? How can I impart better value to other people? If you want to earn more respect and recognition and rewards of any kind, you also have to get to be better yourself in the way that a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. Not be a different person, but bring the potential to realization. I go through this for those of you who may not have heard me before, because this is a well-known refrain for those with whom I have spoken repeatedly. The perspective today, though, is that if you want to earn more and to be more financially free or viable, it is critical to understand the personality of money and the way money works as it interacts with other personalities, the way money reacts or interacts with people. Let me give you a quick reference for the idea that money has personality. If you are poverty-minded, which means you think there's not enough for everybody, and you think the rich people are evil, and you believe that things are going to run out, and you hoard and you grab and you're greedy because you don't believe there's enough. And you should win the lottery. The statistics indicate that in 5 years, you're going to be more lacking. You're going to be poorer than you were before you won the lottery. This is a very sad situation, but over 80% of the people who win the lottery 5 years later, they're worse off than before they won the lottery. Why? Because money's personality will not stay with somebody who has a poorness mentality. Money will not stay if you don't think wealth and abundance and fullness. Enough there. That's just a sort of anecdotal example of why I say money has personality, and if yours does not match, it will not work. Hence, we want to become more, not to earn money, but to be of value to others so that they will exchange value with us so we can acquire things that make our lives a little easier or more pleasurable. Now, the next point I want to make to you on this is that depending on your mindset and your sort of view of the world, if you are a person who has attracted wealth or have gotten accustomed to wealth at any level, really rich or middle class or lower middle class or whatever it is, depending on your level of exposure, you will have had to have a certain way of thinking to attach yourself to that level. If you're lower middle class, if you're middle class, if you're upper middle class, if you're wealthy, it all resonates only with a certain way of thinking. And now to give you another example, a wealthy person and a poor person both have the same 24 hours a day. But if you listen to their thoughts, if you listen to their language, what words come out of their mouth, they are completely different. I can lay my last dollar on that. I have a friend who is a very wealthy millionaire. Millionaire these days doesn't mean as much as it used to. Very wealthy millionaire. He used to brag to me that he made a great deal because the $11 million house in which he lives, when he bought it, was actually worth $17 million, and he thought it was a fairly decent thing. So he's accustomed to money, and if you listen to him talk, he does not talk the way others do, who don't have money. And one of the particular areas where this is evident is how people deal with pain and pressure and problem and issues and challenges. If you have a mindset that is poverty inclined, I don't want to say it's because, but it's directly correlated with the way you think about pain and problems and pressures. And the people who are wealthy and have a wealth mindset, they see a whole different world when problems come along from the world that people see when they are weak when it comes to money and abundance. They're weak because they think things are running out. For example, my friend who I mentioned earlier, he said that when he was younger, he lost every dollar he had. He had been a millionaire and he lost every dollar and he was really struggling. But he said he never told his business associates and business partners, and most of his friends who were not really close did not know. He continued to speak as he spoke when he had the money. He never betrayed that he was going through problems. He was working things out. He was working things out. And the only people with whom he shared all of this were the ones who were close inside to support him and help him. Because the truth is, when you're in trouble, most people can't help you. Very few can, very few want to. So he taught me that you lose your house, it goes into foreclosure. You don't tell everybody that, because it's the words coming out of your mouth that are attracting that lack. And they change their ideas about you when they see you suffering, when they see you weak. He spoke as if he had the money again. And with that mindset, he made the money again and more than he had before he lost it all. So wealthy people think very differently. Now, here's where it comes to you. If you want financial independence, if you want to earn more, it is necessary for you to have a different treatment for pain. I wrote this book. The book is called If Caterpillars Can Fly, So Can I. And it speaks about that personal transformation from potential to actual perform. Oh, yes, here it is. Hold on. Yes, there we go. This book has a chapter in it called The Law of Good and Evil, and evil meaning adversity. And this law contends that it is the order of nature that if you want good, you have to have a tolerance for constructive pain. So let me say that again. If you want good in your life, as they used to say when I was a child, you have to be willing to put up with some runny noses, okay, or some bloody noses even. If you want good in your life, it comes with pain. If you want sustainable good, it comes with constructive pain. Is pain a good thing? Not on the surface. Are we talking about sadomasochism, people who take great pleasure in inflicting pain on themselves or others? No. We're talking about the fact that if you look at the way nature works, almost everything that is good requires an upfront investment in pain or pressure or problem. Now, this may not make sense to you right now, but just check this out. Let me give you some, for instance. The gold is under the mountain. It looks like a dirty rock. It's fine. That's where it was born. And somebody hacked his way through the mountain, found the gold, and it looked just like that piece of dirty rock. But in order for that gold, with all its potential inside, to acquire its greatest economic value, that person either does it or hands it off to a blacksmith, puts it on an anvil and slams it and beats it and pounds it so that the dirt and the rocks break up and splinter off, and the gold becomes flattened and you can see the little yellow coming through. Pain, problem. It's on its way to its highest value, but it's not there yet. All treasures in their raw material need processing for them to acquire their great value. And so the next thing is the goldsmith takes that gold and puts it in an oven and turns it up to about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit and bakes and boils and bubbles that gold so hot that you cannot touch it, you can hardly look at it. And all the dross and all the contaminants and dirt and everything melt off. But there's something about gold, and that is when it's going through the fire, even though it's burning, even though it's feeling the heat, it never evaporates. It just becomes molten, which means easy to shape. And think about your life. There's something about the human being who, when the human being goes through difficulties, constructive pain, 99.99999% of the times, the human does not die. The human cannot die except for once. Like the gold, everything is stripped away, and the pure gold in its molten state is there. And now the designer takes that gold and pours it into a form, and it takes the form of a gold cup or a ring. It is at that point where the gold has its highest value, and it sits on a shelf and people pay thousands of dollars per article for it. Now, the gold under the mountain has value, but it's ugly, it's dirty, it's not aesthetic, it doesn't have its real appeal. It's the pain that gives it its highest value. You may be going through some things in your life right now that make no sense at all to you and make you wonder if there's any justice in the world. Somebody's ripped you off. You take him to court, you lose the court case. You pray to God to take away your pain. He's decided that he's not going to take away the pain right now. And you wonder if there's a God, and things are mixed up in your head. May I suggest to you that you step back and think the way of abundance. That pain is there for a reason if it doesn't go away. Or if you don't believe in the sort of predestination sort of thing, which is not what I'm talking about, where everything is designed for this purpose and it's all fulfilling itself and you can explain it if you think hard enough. Even if you don't believe in that, which I don't necessarily believe myself, I say it another way. Every pain that comes into your life, if it didn't come with a purpose, with the right kind of thinking, you can make it purposeful. You can look at that pain and go, okay, what do I learn from this? Man, this is rough. I want it to go away. But man, I never want to come back this way again. And next time this comes, I'm going to have ways of getting around it or prevent getting there again. And because of the way you think, you are absorbing content out of that pain that is pressuring your life. This is how wealthy people think. Everything that happens is an opportunity. And nature is full of these references. It's not just the gold. Think about how the pearl is made under the sea. Think about how a seed needs to fall into the ground, absorb water, stay alone by itself in the dark, expand, burst open in order to give out a fledgling little plant struggling without chlorophyll, up through the rocks, fighting its way through the top of the soil to get into the sunlight. And it still has the risk of being stepped on by an animal or eaten by the birds. But when it goes through that and it does not die, it can produce fruit. What am I saying to you? I'm saying that, yeah, everybody wants to make more money, just about, even the ones who would deny it. But not everybody has the right attitude toward pain. Because good and evil, let's say pleasure and pain, are wrapped together, and one does not exist without the other. And if you cannot tolerate constructive pain, you cannot tolerate constructive wealth. Let me say that again. Constructive pain is the pain that life puts on you when you have high ideals and high dreams and expectations. The kind of wealth that is, the kind of pain that's not constructive is one that comes with emotional intent and harm and vengeance. And even so, the wealthy people can make good out of those things by learning lessons. Constructive wealth is the wealth that is properly earned by imparting value. The wealth that is not constructive is the one where you steal it and where you deceive and you fool people into believing a thing and then extract wealth out of them. So let me repeat what I said before. Constructive pain and constructive wealth go together, and you cannot have one without the other. So what is your tolerance for pain? You see, it's not just, if you're a wimp when it comes to life's processes, it's not just that every now and again something bad is going to happen to you and you need to be positive and you need to be visionary and look ahead and see how you're going to come out on the other side. It's even worse than that for the skeptic. If you really have high dreams and ideals, get ready for this. You're going to inflict pain on yourself. It don't make no sense, right? If you have high dreams and expectations, if you have high ideals, and you look at the heroes in life, you will see that it's necessary to inflict pain on yourself, not just when they happen by circumstance or happenstance. One of the few athletes I adore, and there are very few of them. I'd rather be doing athletics than sitting and watching people do it. Although, I watch my sport, which is, very few of them. Athletics is one of them. Is Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt, that man from that tiny island in the ocean who runs faster than anybody else has run and has not yet been overcome. One day somebody will run faster. And I will tell you this much. Usain Bolt, when he was practicing to run for his country and go to the Olympics, he was not like regular people. He used to wake up early in the morning by his coach's command and run in the rain or run in the heat or run in the dark in the morning, run in the sunlight, carry weight on his back, stretch his muscles, skip ice cream, skip alcohol, skip too much partying, and put himself in a place of restriction, tight resources where he couldn't just go and enjoy the things that his friends with whom he grew up were enjoying. Gosh, it's not easy to get up and run up the side of the Blue Mountain in Jamaica every morning if that's where he chose to run. But he had to go and do that kind of running. And when he would run to get faster, it caused his joints and his ankles, it caused his flesh to hurt, his muscles hurt. Unless you think what I'm talking about is mere sort of layman's anecdote and it's nice metaphorically. Let me tell you, there's scientific basis for that, because the sports doctor will tell you that when an athlete runs and stretches and lifts weight just beyond where the athlete can comfortably do it, and it gets painful, and the athlete goes home feeling the leg hurting, for example, when you put a microscope to that leg, you will notice that there are thousands and perhaps millions of little fissures. Fissures meaning breakages or disruptions or tears in the muscle fiber. So when the athlete goes and feels pain, goes home from practice and feels pain, it's because the muscle fiber is torn in a million microscopic places. However, give it a couple of days, and where the microscopic fissures or cracks or tears come back together, the joint is stronger than the surrounding muscle, the original muscle. And the athlete does it today, and 3 days later it heals. But he does it tomorrow, and 4 days later it heals. And he does it the next day, and he keeps tearing and healing till the whole muscle starts to develop this joint that is stronger than the original muscle. I hope you're following me on this. It is a biologically proven fact that when you push your body just beyond your normal comfort level where it hurts, not too far, so you crack or break something permanently, the hurt is what happens when you tear that tissue, at least the muscle, when the muscles hurt. And when the tissue comes back together, it's stronger, and you build muscle mass, and you are stronger and faster. Faster if it's in your legs. So there's scientific foundation to the idea that, I'm sorry to tell you, but if you want to be really wealthy, it's not about winning the lottery. It's about getting yourself into the discipline of knowing how to deal with the pressures and pains and problems of life when they come. But even more, to subject yourself to constructive pain in a way that is necessary for you not only to attract the wealth you want, but to keep it. Usain Bolt's not running anymore, but he's got more money now than he needs. They steal a little, it still has much. Do you want to be in a position where you have great wealth? Develop a tolerance for pain. What a difference that makes. We're not necessarily taught that in school. I like the Bible. The Bible teaches me this, that the adversities of life give us perseverance, and perseverance teaches us patience, and patience teaches us kindness, and kindness teaches us love. And there's a whole cadence of things that happen when we subject ourselves to pain. Okay, before I shift from this subject, let me give you one last sort of story which I think will help with this. What happens when you give a child everything the child asks for? What happens when there's no delay of gratification, when someone lives a life of getting everything I want right now? Okay, if you left it to me, I would sit and watch Netflix and Prime Videos and play ball and go fishing all day. I love that stuff. Walk barefoot on the beach. Okay? But if I choose to live a life that's just that, it'll be the 30th of the month and I need to pay my phone bill, and I can't even call for a car to come get me to take me to the beach because I will have, with that same kind of thinking, lost my automobiles, lost my homes. You see what I'm saying to you? So it's not as if pain is in itself something attractive. It is that you have to do the unattractive thing to get the thing that is attractive long term. You give a child everything the child wants, the child becomes jaded, privileged, lacking in appreciation, taking things for granted. And that's why many parents, the good ones, will withhold things from a child so that the child understands the value of the thing and not get everything the child wants. So the child develops skills to go out into the world and not believe that the world owes that child everything the child wants. And again, there's a part of the system where value has a personality, and you have to learn how it works and adapt it to make money. So I want to encourage you, if you're going through pain right now, hang in there. 99% of the times it will not kill you. That can only happen once. And if you use it right, it will enrich you. It will enrich you. There's another side, though, to this pain. And this is where it gets really dangerous. Yeah? Dangerously powerful. Let me say it this way. First of all, there's how you deal with the pain of your life. And see that as investment in the seed, that despite the fact that the seed is hidden and is expanding, and sometimes you feel like your belly is bursting open and your brain is shattered, you hang in there, and out of your life comes this plant that feeds a nation, your family. Second of all, if you should observe the pain that people are going through and do something to help them tolerate that pain, mitigate that pain, have them mitigate that pain, or even make the pain go away right now, they will gladly pay you for that pain. So if you have, and I'm not talking about being in psychology and being a shrink or anything like that. If you have a product, a widget that you want to sell, and you can figure out the group of people for whom that widget will make the pain go away, those people will gladly pay for the widget because people want their pain to go away. So even me, when I used to be a cross-country runner. And when I was preparing for the cross-country, I'd run around my school playing field 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, 50 times, and so forth. I wanted to go home and get my grandmother's soup and sit around and just rest my leg. Okay, so it's not as if I wanted to be running that much, because after a while it got to be painful. Now, you certainly can have a certain euphoria that makes you like running, but the fact is it takes effort, it takes time, and it causes pain, right? So I want the pain to go away. Now, if somebody could give me an injection and make me as fast as ever, and it'd be legal, it'd be legal, I might be tempted to do that. The fact is, when people are going through pain, if you can make that pain go away, they will thank you for it. And if you have a product that makes it go away, they'll buy the product, most likely. I've said this before, pain is a greater motivator than pleasure is. So if I were to say to you, I wanted to go meet somebody with me who's going to set us up in a business where we can make $50,000 in the next 3 months. Yeah? And I'm pretty sure that this person can help us to make $50,000. We're sitting in a restaurant, and let's say you're a lady and you forgot your purse in the restaurant, and in your purse you have $5,000 worth of cash. But if we turn back now, that guy will have left. He just gave us a very narrow time period. We have the ability to go make $50,000. You left $5,000 behind. $5,000 is causing you pain. The $50,000 promises pleasure. where would your head be? Which one would you want to pursue? Go hoping that you can make 50, or go back hoping that your purse is still there? Let's say you couldn't call because your phone is in the purse. I know you're thinking, yeah, just call, right? Don't you feel that energy to go, man, but I've got the 50. Here's what the culture says: a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Where did that come from? Pain is worse than pleasure. And I want the pain to go away. I want pleasure. But the pain, let me say it this way: the intensity of pain tends to be greater than the intensity of pleasure, even though it be great pleasure, unless you're in drugs, which is not in my book making sense. And so when you feel pain, you want it to go away more than you actually want pleasure. My people, I know you're critical thinkers. And you're going, yeah, but if the pain goes away, doesn't that bring pleasure? No. There are three states. There's the state of having pain. There's the state of having no pain, which is normalcy. And there's the state of having pleasure. Now, you can appreciate having no pain, but when the pain is on, you just want to come back to center and feel okay, normal. And you can go from normal to sheer pleasure. Now, why am I going into this? It's that when you have a widget to sell, a product or service to sell, one of the single greatest strategies you can have and understand and employ, is to understand the connection between value and pain. If you should study your customer, first of all, identify your customer. Second of all, study your customer, figure out what causes the customer to feel terrible, to be afraid, to hurt, to feel apprehensive, to be off his or her game and suffer the consequence. And if you have a product that can in any way make that pain go down or go away, pitch the product that way. And you'll have a greater audience and more customers will want to hear you. I wrote another book. It's called Persuasion Power. And in this book, I present the 5 predominant areas of pain that people feel in society. And I hesitate because since that, the research has shown that there are actually 6 predominant ways or sources of pain in society. And I started out by saying this is so powerful, it is dangerously powerful. If you could figure this out for people, you would get a great level of control over them. And if you are of the bad kind of thinking, you could manipulate people by just knowing this. Where's my little list here? In no particular order of importance, because it changes over time and it changes from person to person. If you want to make significant income, get paid, figure out whether or not, or which of these, whether or not the person or entity from which you are expecting money is suffering from one of these pains or sources. Pain about job or work, feeling terrible about getting into the traffic every morning, waking up too early, not having time for breakfast, going through the carbon monoxide and the impatience and rude people in the traffic, having a boss, being close to the boss's office, having a pay that is not enough, getting no pay raise in a certain year. When you get raises, only 2%, spending years of your life working for this company, having no time to go pay your bills during the day and see your family, giving the family less time than you give to the job. Pain, pressure problem. That's one area. People are hurting for that all over the world. And then you have a business. You say, okay, no, I don't have a job, I have a business, but the business consumes your whole life and you don't have enough revenue and the profit margins are thin. Job or work, that's one source of pain. Another source of pain is time. Time, oh gracious. The clock goes tick-tock, tick-tock. Incessantly, relentlessly, time is marching on, and the things you have to do cannot fit within the waking hours, and you go to bed thinking about them, and you wake up disturbed that you didn't sleep enough because you have work to do, and people just wish they had enough time, and they save up for 3 years to make $5,000 in the bank so they can go to Jamaica and just relax on the beach for a week, and feel so good about not having time be an issue. But then they still have 51 more weeks they have to go work again and save up for 3 more years to go back on vacation. Time pressure. If you can figure out that someone is vulnerable to that, it gives you control. Here's another source of pain. So that's number 2. And again, no particular order. Money. We're talking about money today and value, but just the subject of money itself is very painful for most people because they want more and they don't have it, because the money doesn't come early enough, because they owe bills and the bills are multiplying with great interest rates, and the credit cards are easy to use but hard to pay. And people just set up worrying about this, and they have divorces because of money, and they have grudge and hatred and vengeance because of money, and resentment because people steal it, because people don't pay it back, etc. Pain, that's three. By the way, I want to give you one that you will not find on most lists. Now, I'm going to leave it to last. So we have job, we have time, we have money, and time, job, money. And then there is health. Either the lack of health or the fear that you're going to be unhealthy. There are people going around scared that they're going to catch something from somebody. There are people who have a simple sickness, and it really messes up their thinking, because they should not be the one sick because they didn't do anything to be ill, and they work hard to stay healthy, and yet they caught something. And there are people who are impaired and they can't have bodily function, mobility, and so forth because of health problems. And it's a pressure and a pain and a problem. So that's another source of pain. This one physiological sometimes, mental at other times. And now here's the one that's not in the book: relationships. If you think about it, sometimes it seems, doesn't it, that the people who you love can hurt you more than the people you don't even know, than strangers. Because love, as wonderful a thing as it is, and it is that wonderful, does not happen without vulnerability. You have to trust in order to love. You have to drop down your guard in order to love. And when you drop your guard and you love somebody who has bad intention, that can really hurt, because you've now kind of given away your defenses due to that vulnerability. Or when you love somebody deeply and that person is ill and suffering, sometimes you suffer almost as much out of empathy and care for that person. And somebody you love dies, and for years your life is changed, and the pain comes from the memory. So relationships, very powerful source of pain. And when there's this discussion between people who don't agree but they love each other, they can tear into each other's flesh because of that anger. And bad relationships produce all kinds of bad results. And then here's the last one that I left, the one I left for last. Dignity. You will not find that on most lists of this kind. Dignity is one of the greatest sources of pain in society today. Or perhaps should I say the lack of dignity, the desire for dignity. And this dignity can be used in a sort of synonymous or maybe cause and effect way with respect, recognition, esteem, somebody noticing you, somebody treating you with importance versus just as a nobody. If you should ask me to put these in rank, in sort of the general appeal, the general application to human beings, I would hesitate to do it because, again, when health becomes a problem, it may be number one for somebody. Or when job work thing gets to be a crisis, it may be number one. But if you should say, let's take the general case, what do you think in most cases would be number one? I would go to dignity as the greatest source of pain. And I might go to relationships as the second. And then the others, they can jostle for space. But I'm not arguing that that is empirically so. That's just my opinion, observing people. Dignity and the lack thereof. When you find people who are suffering from it and you can help make it go away, not the dignity, but the effects of not having enough, oh, they will adore you. They will want what you have. They'll want you. I'm thinking now about anecdotal examples that will give you a sense for this. There's a man, or was a man, named Maslow, and he had this thing he calls a hierarchy. I don't have my PhD, but I've said for years, if I ever did my PhD, my thesis would be Maslow was wrong. And his hierarchy is at best upside down. Because one of the references in Maslow's hierarchy is that the people who are on the bottom of the hierarchy, struggling for food, shelter, and clothing, they don't really care about identity that much and esteem that much. You have to kind of take care of those things before you get to the level of identity and esteem. Oh boy. And then when it comes to things like fulfillment and at the top, transcendence and wanting meaning and purpose, no, they don't need it yet. They need to figure out food, shelter, and clothing. What a bunch of malarkey. Are you kidding me? They still teach this stuff in university, that people who don't have socioeconomic things taken care of don't have a need for dignity, for respect. Yeah, there's identity and esteem and respect and fulfillment and transcendence in different words, depending on whose version of the model, who represents the model. But I'm here to suggest to you that it's at least upside down. If you're a highly fulfilled person with all the money that you need, or you have enough money to keep you functional and satisfied, and you have your profession and your education, and somebody calls you a dog, you may have personal issues that make that a big problem, but I got important people who are my friends. You call me a dog, I'm like, I may be upset with you for now, but it doesn't stay with me. Forget it. Okay? Why? Because I can get my dignity from people around me, because I live in socioeconomic situations where you're only one little figure over here and I can minimize you because I have other sources of dignity. I don't need you. Now, on the other hand, go to somebody in the ghetto, go to an inner city neighborhood on a Monday morning where people are sitting around on the side of the street with nothing to do, and they should be at work because their family needs bread and milk. Stop your car there and see some boy sitting on the wall and get out and say, you guys are nothing but dogs. What are you doing here in the morning? It's Monday, you should be at work. Come back and tell me what will happen. I say this to live audiences when I'm doing my leadership coaching, and every time I do it, somebody will burst out, come back, you won't make it back. Why? Because you see, due to the fact that and this is interesting, due to the fact that they don't have all the socioeconomic things of social respectability and so forth, and they're still looking to put together food, shelter, and clothing at the bottom of the hierarchy, this thing of respect is even more important to them. Dignity is more important because they get so little of it. You who have your job and your money and you could go to Paris for a vacation, someone insults your dignity. Nah, it's not really an insult because you have enough people to bolster you. But when you don't have any, when you're at the bottom, the things at the top of Maslow's hierarchy are even more important to you. You're looking for meaning, you're looking for purpose in your life. And so when somebody insults it, it's a big deal. People have killed for that. Many people have died for disrespecting others. Here's another reference. Go into a poor neighborhood and look at the number of people who are wearing expensive athletic shoes like Nikes and Puma. They would pay $200 for a pair of shoes and not be able to pay their bus fare. Why? Because dignity is so important to them in their own circles. To be wearing this brand of clothing or this brand of shoes gives them respect from their peers in that same socioeconomic circle. So I argue that Maslow's hierarchy is upside down because it's the ones at the bottom need even more of the things that Maslow erroneously put at the top. I'm diving into it because I want you to get this in your bone. So now you have a widget to sell. It's a phone. You can sell it as a phone that'll make people feel good. Okay, some people will buy it. But if you talk about the things that this phone does to make your life less painful. When your wife is on the road, she has one of these so that if she should break down, she's not subject to people around there. She can call and get help immediately. If you're at home alone and you fall down and you cannot get up and the phone is in your hand, you can do 999 and it'll save your life. The fear of health. If you have one of these phones, I can teach you how you can use the phone to make money. Because the idea that you cannot pay bills and so forth is something that makes you feel terrible. You see? So, all right, let's see if we can put this back together. I went in deep there a while ago with regard to the sources of pain. You have a widget to sell. It's an idea, it's a service, it's a thing. And you want to make more money selling it. Ask yourself, what does it do? Or let's start somewhere else. When you know what it does, for whom is it intended? What's the target market? Who would benefit from this? Once you identify the target market, you ask, okay, who are they? Let me do some research. What are their problems? What causes them to worry? What makes them stay up late at night fretting? What are the things that are causing them pain today? And in all of those questions of research point, you're looking for something that hurts them that can be alleviated by this widget. Now, not all their pains can be taken off by the widget. Okay? You're looking for the ones that actually match. And if you force it, it doesn't work so well. But once you figure out something over here that's hurting your customer or your potential customer that this widget can make go away, all of a sudden the widget becomes interesting if you present it that way. Now, there's some serious Fortune 500 training I'm giving you because I've gone to major companies and taught their salespeople how they can reconfigure their sales scripts so they're not just talking about how good the thing is, but they're reminding people of the pain that they face carefully, prying into people's business, but there are ways to do it carefully that I can't go into right now. And once you remind them of this and go, oh man, you have no idea. This work is stressful. I have no time for my family. And you say to them, I thought about that. And this is one of the reasons I'm here today. If I could show you a way that'll give you 15 to 20% more time a week, or could give you extra time that you could spend with your family and not feel so guilty and not feel so conflicted about the work, would you be interested in finding out more about it? I'm all ears. Who doesn't want more time? Because I already know that that's a source of pain for that person. This is training I've done for Fortune 500 companies that had to make incredible amounts of money. I mean, you go look at my website, alvinday.com. I have people who have documented and given me testimonials of making millions and multiplied millions of dollars from the kind of teaching that we're talking about here. Zinnig, which is what we'd say growing up in Jamaica. Do you see me? Do you hear what I'm saying? So putting it back together, ladies and gentlemen, if you're like most people in this respect, that the money you have is not too much, and there are many cases when it's too little, that the value that society imparts to you and the job imparts to you and people give you for what you do is not nearly enough, and you want more, you have to be able to achieve more, or you can't do it. But you cannot achieve more without the growth and development of becoming more daily. The caterpillar putting on wings and taking off into the heavens. And if you want to take off in the heavens, to find financial, economic freedom, the ironic and sort of backward sounding way to do it is, one, to have a tolerance for constructive pain. And two, to figure out the pain that people are feeling and help them make the pain go down or go away. And wealthy people know this instinctively, intrinsically, or they're taught it by their parents because their parents might have been wealthy. And the ones who sit back and moan and just make noise and just mumble to themselves about how life sucks and it's not fair and the rich people are all dishonest and they're taking from the poor what they don't have, they are the ones who are going to continue to stay at the bottom of the pile. But if you have no money at all, and you keep thinking, man, the universe is expansive, it's expanding at an accelerating pace, one day my day is going to come. There's more in the world than I need. I just need to get myself prepared so that one day when my door is here, I will be able to walk through it. When the opportunity comes, I'm looking for it. Gosh, I hate it. It sucks where I am right now. But one of these days, I'm going to hit my stride. I'm going to work on me. I'm continuing to work on me. This is the kind of person who, without money, can step into money when the time is right. If you cuss and complain and commiserate about how bad the world is, it continues to be bad. It continues to be terrible. If you live a life of visionary expectancy, now you're starting to think like the wealthy people. And when you have visionary expectations, you tend to see things that people don't see. We're just looking with their eyes, because your vision is your subconscious, is your expectations, is your thinking. This is very personal, because I ask, what about you? What is your habit lifestyle like when it comes to your thinking? Which of these two are you? The one with visionary thoughts of abundance, or the one who looks at life and sees the cup as just empty? Forget about half full. The cup sucks. It's empty. It's dry. And I've dedicated my life these days to helping people to get to that place in their lives where their wings begin to come out like a butterfly comes out of a caterpillar. You need somebody who can walk with you and talk with you. And if you don't like the sound of my voice or my accent or my look or whatever the case may be, find somebody else who can help you with what it takes to think abundance, to become abundance, to attract abundance, and to keep it when it comes. I have a group of people right now, a small group of people who I'm coaching for 90 days, 33 months of me working with them live. And I give them a 30-day challenge where they have the greatest manifestation of positive thinking and expectations that you can imagine, and it's speaking on camera with confidence. In other words, the ability to stand in front of an audience, look the audience in the eye, and speak with poise without nervousness and fear is a manifestation of that kind of thinking that can attract value to you. So I have this 30-day speak on camera with confidence. And I have, as a part of that, 90 days of working with people, not just about public speaking, although that is a great manifestation of the kind of thinking necessary, but about all the habits and issues and challenges that people face in their lives that cause them pain so they can live through it and capitalize on it. And about how they can take their value, recognize it, and target it to the right people and be able to communicate that with the right narrative that will make other people's pain go away. Now, when you find yourself in that position where you thrive when times are good, where you thrive when times are bad, and when you help people thrive by replacing their pain with something more pleasurable, you can't keep money away from you. How can you keep money away from somebody like that? So in tongue in cheek, I apologize to those folks who expect to come and hear about the shortcut to making money. It's all about price, or it's about having the right product. Yeah. Sorry about that, but the right product is you. Are you growing? Are you changing? Are you doing the same thing that you did last year? If so, you should be making the same money or less, because the world is changing if you're not. And so if you have any interest at all in working with me, if you want somebody who's going to hold you accountable, disrupt your thinking, challenge you, talk to me. Put in the chat interested and give me your email, and I will give you information about how you can find out more about what we do to help people to overcome this thing that so many fear, the pain and pressure of life. That's what I came to share with you today. Send me a message and say interested. That's all it takes. Give me your email, contact information, and I'll tell you how. Have a fabulous evening, day, morning, wherever you are. And I look forward to working with you if you should so choose. Because if you want to earn more, you must achieve more. And if you want to achieve more, you must become more. That's where I come in.